They fell into a deep sleep for more than 300 years. When they opened their eyes, the times had changed, their beards had grown long, and their faces were pale. Moreover, there was an incredible feeling of hunger in their bellies. This story, which is the essence of the parable of Ashâb-ı Kehf, has an important place in Christianity, Islam, and some other religions and legends. The legend of the 7 sleepers is told in different ways in different countries, but the basic outlines of all the stories are the same, and they all deal with the phenomenon of sleeping in a cave for a long time and waking up again, which is an example of resurrection after death. Now I will try to tell you this story briefly and in the best possible way. I am sure you will be surprised by the information you will hear. By the way, if you are interested in such videos, I would be very happy if you do not forget to subscribe to the channel, comment, and at least throw a like, because it takes 3 or 4 days to prepare a video. The first person to tell us the legend of the 7 sleepers was the Syriac bishop Jacob of Sirug, who lived in the 480s and 500s AD. According to his account, there used to be a pagan society in the city of Ephesus. Due to a famine in the city, the people blamed 7 young men who had converted to Christianity simply because of their religion and decided to sacrifice them to the gods. Emperor Decius came to Ephesus and ordered the worship of idols and asked each of the 7 young Christians to bring sacrifices to the idols in order to be forgiven. After this order, 7 young men living in the palace and accused of secretly becoming Christians were brought before the emperor. Despite the pressure, they refuse to sacrifice to idols and are given time to think. When Emperor Decius left the city, the young men fled with their faithful dog named Kutmir and hid in a cave near Mount Onkelos. This cave was in the forest, hard to see from the outside, so even if the king's soldiers searched for them, they could not easily find them. After a short time, one of the brothers hiding in the cave changed his clothes and went to the city to learn about the situation, while also gathering food. In the city, he learned that Emperor Decius had ordered that the Christians be found and brought to him immediately, so he returned to the cave to tell his brothers. They thought it was a dangerous decision to leave the cave, so they stayed there for a while longer. While the brothers, who were defending their religion, were inside wondering what to do, they received a divine favor and slowly fell asleep. It is such a sleep that it is impossible to even keep their eyes open. Unable to find the young men, Decius searches for their father and learns that they are hiding in a cave on Mount Onkelos. They find the cave and go in to capture them, but they are so frightened by what they see that after several attempts, they decide to block the entrance and bury them there forever. So the entrance to the cave is blocked with large rocks, and some men write their story on a metal plate and put it under the rocks blocking the cave. When the 7 sleepers opened their eyes, it was as if no time had passed at all, but because of the extreme hunger they felt, they sent someone back to the city. Yes, the cave that was closed when they slept was open when they woke up. Some sources say that the stones that blocked the cave were taken away years later to be used for another purpose, while other sources say that the 7 brothers were able to move one of the stones, albeit with difficulty. Either way, when one of the brothers came out of the cave and reached the city, he found something very surprising. Ephesus had grown into a huge city and people had begun to believe in Jesus. Crosses were hanging on the gates, and everyone's clothes and style had changed. The young man couldn't wait to tell his friends what he had seen, but first he needed to buy food with the Decian money he had with him. When the vendors saw this old money, they thought the young man had found a treasure and were eager to share it. So when news of the mysterious man in old clothes spread through the city, many people gathered and questioned him at length. He tells them what happened to him and invites them to the cave to see his friends. The Ephesians climbed the hill and found 2 lead plaques telling the story of the young men. The people then entered the cave and saw the young man's friends alive. This event is described in the Quran as follows: "If you had seen them in the cave, you would have thought they were awake, but they are asleep. We turned them to the right and left, and we made their dogs stretch their forelegs forward at the entrance. If you had seen them, you would have fled without looking back, and you would have been filled with fear." They stayed in their caves for 300 years, and 9 years were added to that. Say, Allah knows better how long they stayed. They have no helper except Allah. He does not associate anyone with His sovereignty. It is clear from the verses that the 7 sleepers were asleep in the cave, but when others looked at them, they appeared to be awake, as if they were conversing among themselves. The extent to which this image can frighten people is already mentioned in the Quran. The cave described in the story is the cave near the ancient city of Ephesus in Izmir, Turkey. However, it is not clear whether it is this cave, because the location of the cave is not clearly stated in any source. The Quran also does not mention the location of the cave, only briefly stating that its position is in the north-south direction. In fact, 33 different caves around the world are claimed to be the cave where the 7 sleepers slept. People living near each cave say, "This cave is the real cave." Interestingly, there is another mysterious place near the cave of the 7 sleepers in Ephesus. This place is thought to be the tomb of Mary, the mother of the prophet Jesus, who is also mentioned in the Quran. It is so important that both Muslims and Christians have been visiting this tomb for centuries. Although the tomb is inside the Church of the Virgin Mary, the Ottomans protected this church and kept it open for Muslims to visit for centuries. There is a very short distance between the alleged tomb of the Virgin Mary and the cave thought to be the cave of the 7 sleepers. According to Christians, the Virgin Mary migrated to Anatolia in the last years of her life and died here. In fact, when some Catholic Christians enter a cave, they first greet the 7 sleepers by mentioning their names and then step inside. According to their belief, these people who will roam the world until the day of judgment could be in any cave. The interesting things don't end there, because a similar story is also told in ancient India. For example, in the Mahabharata, one of the Indian holy books written thousands of years ago, it is told that 7 people, because of the pressure and hostility of the society they lived in, retreated to a cave with a dog following them and turned away from the kingdom and the world. And when they spent a night in this cave and opened their eyes again, they realized that centuries had passed. As you can see, this is not an ordinary legend that exists in any one country, but a story that has a worldwide reach, and some religions support its authenticity. The Quran does not mention how the 7 sleepers died. For Christians, the situation is also unknown. The legend says that after waking up, the 7 sleepers fell asleep again with their dogs after the miraculous events they encountered, and the cave was closed again. Only when the real cave is found will these people emerge and fulfill one of the signs of the apocalypse. But no one, except a very few people, will realize that they are the 7 sleepers. Even as names, countries, and dates change, the story continues to be a mystery in various cultures, with different accounts and many questions. It is unknown whether we will receive a sign from the 7 sleepers in the future, but the essence of the story is extremely intriguing and thought-provoking.